Hey everyone, I'm Chris Sasaki, Creative Director of Forza Motorsport, and I'm joined by Tyler Hennessy, talented developer on our team who'll be driving the demo today for us. Everything you see today is production code running on an Xbox Series X, and all of the gameplay you'll see is at 4K 60 with true Gen 9 graphics. Forza as a franchise has always been about falling in love with cars. Forza Motorsport has been doing that through the thrill and intensity of competition. Today, you'll get to see our bold new take on falling in love with cars that's comprised of three major themes. First theme is about getting to know a car, finding its limits, and building that level of car mastery. The second is about taking that car and building it into that track dominator that you've always wanted. And finally, it's about taking that car, competing with it, and winning with it on the track. That is the new Forza Motorsport loop. Level, build, dominate. And there's no better way to check out this new level, build, dominate loop than in our all-new career mode, the Builders Cup. The Builders Cup has a new rhythm of racing that includes an open practice, a new challenge the grid system, and of course, a featured race. Now you'll be seeing all of that today, as well as our car progression systems, and of course, our car building. So let's dive in. So this is the Builders Cup. This career mode is always fresh and surprising. New cars are revealed and released by manufacturers all the time. We wanted our career mode to reflect this ever-changing landscape of cars. And you can see here, there's a bunch of new icons on some of these racing series. So for the first time in Forza Motorsport, new cars and tracks will be released directly into this career. The Builders Cup will shift, change, and evolve with all of this new content. Behind each of these cool posters is a racing series where you'll get to take a single car and level it, build it, and dominate your way to victory. The cars in each series have exciting automotive stories that we want you to experience and is your gateway to find cars to fall in love with. This is the Built for Sports series. It's made up of modern sports car masterpieces like the new Supra, as you can see, the Porsche Cayman GTS, or the new Nissan Z. And today we're going to be jumping in with the new Z for our look at the Builders Cup. Now each of these series has a cool intro that highlights their automotive story and might just give you that reason to pick one and maybe fall in love with it. So let's check it out.
Every year, manufacturers set out to build a car of the moment that defines who they are. Cars that are nimble, well-engineered, with a futuristic design aesthetic. Not exclusive automotive fantasies, desirable, attainable. Each offering a welcome invitation for a motivated, hard-driving enthusiast to get in, buckle up, and then define who they are at the absolute limit on the racetrack.
So the Builders Cup has a new rhythm of racing, and every event in the Builders Cup features an open practice session. An open practice is where you put the work in to find the limits of your car. And it's never been more fun, engaging, or rewarding to just drive your car and push it to its limits.
After the final tight hairpin turn 16 in-way, you'll accelerate onto the long straight, where you'll be able to catch your competition.
So I like to think that the relationship with your car is forged at speed, at the limit. We've created a bunch of new systems that help you find that limit, build that relationship, and reward you for it. I'm going to let Tyler drive for a little bit here so you can kind of see the 4K 60 visuals and all of our remastered audio. What you're seeing here is our new car mastery system. Each corner is now a moment-to-moment objective where you get to see how fast you are through them, how close you are to the limit with your car. Each time you go through a given corner, it will compare you against your best time through it, and that helps you master your car. This also gives car XP, and you can see that in the top right here. Your car is now gaining XP corner by corner and leveling up in real time. You're getting faster, you're understanding the car's limits, and your car is leveling up and growing with you. Your relationship with your car is forged at speed. This is the core of our car progression, and it's now the heartbeat of our game. And I like to think of it as a CarPG. Our new track dynamics can always shift and change. And for the first time, we have fully dynamic time of day and weather on every track. No two laps ever look or play the same. So Tyler's going to pull off on the side of the road here, and we're going to take a look at our time of day and weather settings. These dynamics challenge you to master your car, hour by hour, dry or wet. This makes open practice that much more valuable to get you ready to take on the competition during the race. So let's end practice and move into the next beat into the Builders Cup, which is Challenge the Grid. This is all new, and I'm really excited about this. Challenge the Grid is all about dialing in the racing challenge that you want, and it's never been more fun or engaging. All of the challenge options are here at your fingertips, and they all affect your payout. So you can actually choose where you want to begin or start the race, and you can also change up the AI difficulty, racing rules, and damage settings if you like, and all of that can change your payout. Challenge the Grid lets you choose the exact risk-reward balance that you want in the race. So let's jump into the featured race. Looks like we're starting mid-pack here. So you've gotten to know the car track combo in open practice. You feel good about the gameplay balance that you've dialed in with Challenge the Grid. And now it's time to battle it out on the track with the rest of the field to see who comes out on top. So you're seeing here is a field of drivatars populated with your friends, their cars, and their liveries. All of this is constantly updating with their latest creations and customizations. So even when you're racing in Builders Cup, you're connected to your friends. Racing has never been better with our overhauled physics and AI. The AI Drivatar technology has big advancements. Our new machine learning powered AI is as fast as the fastest real drivers without any cheats or hacks to keep them competitive. Without these cheats, the racing has never been so immersive. You can trust that anytime you're pulling them in a straight, you're actually out driving them. Our physics have big advancements as well. We have an entirely new tire model that features a 48x jump in fidelity. We've also rebuilt the suspension, weight, and aero modeling. The simulation has never been more accurate, and the cars feel incredible to drive. You can see some of the tight racing here is all thanks to all of the new AI improvements. So I know the racing's exciting, and as much as I'd like to watch this, we only have a short time here, so let's go ahead and finish up the race. So here are the race results, where you get to see your series points that lead into the overall trophy for the series. But you also get to see how you're doing in the overall Built for Sport Racing series. You get your driver XP here, your credits payout, and your car XP. After every event in the Builders Cup, you have a chance to build up your car and continue your journey with it. And you can see here, we've just unlocked a number of upgrades that you can go and install in your car. So let's actually go and check out our new car building screen. Cars in the new Forza Motorsport are built, not bought. Your bond with your car is earned. It's the work you've put in to find its limits. As your car levels up, it gains car points and unlocks upgrades. Here, up in the top right, you can see your car points, and that's the resource that's used to install any of the upgrades that you unlocked. Car points are like skill or talent points in other games. You can allocate them to install a part, but here's the thing. You aren't locked into any of those choices at any time. You can easily uninstall a part and regain those car points so you can use those points elsewhere. It's like being able to endlessly respec a character. This gives the player a great amount of agency in building experimentation. Also, since you aren't spending credits on upgrades, the Built Not Bought system frees you from having to decide between, say, buying a cool new car or upgrading your current car. Now with these upgrades installed, we can go to the next event and see how this car build feels on the next track and get ready to dominate. And that's a single event in the Builders Cup. So you got to see our open practice, where you find the limits of your car and level it up. A new Challenge the Grid feature, where you can dial in the racing challenge that you want. And of course, our featured race, where the racing has never been better. And finally, our car building, where your car is built, not bought. That's the new Forza Motorsport loop. Level, build, dominate. And the Builders Cup is just a small part of this big game. We have an all-new featured multiplayer mode, Rivals, Time Attack, and of course Free Play, all make the return to the game. And we'll be diving into the details of these other modes in the months to come, so stay tuned. The new era of Forza Motorsport begins on October 10th, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on it. Thanks, everyone. So similar to the offerings we've had for recent games in the Forza franchise, we'll have a premium edition of the game available with a bunch of add-ons for players, just like car packs and car pass. So in addition to these things that players can buy, we'll be regularly adding new cars and tracks to the game for free after launch. Also, we aren't selling car upgrade points or credits. There are no random drops or loot boxes, so cars and upgrades are all earned by your play, other than those car pass and car pack cars. The game has been designed to easily adjust and add new content over time, and that's really to ensure a fair and secure experience anywhere in the game. So any progression in the game will be stored on our servers to support the integrity of the overall game experience. And there are options for playing offline. So things like free play is always available, but any progression requires an online connection. Got a little taste of it there in the video, and this is truly the new heart of Forza Motorsport. Car mastery is this heart of Forza Motorsport, and it powers both the career mode in the game as well as every other mode in the game. Before I go too deep there, I think it's good to provide a little context and step back and look at the previous generations of motorsports. So Forza Motorsports 1 through 7 really leaned heavily on things like car collection to really prove out and give that player the sense of falling in love with cars.
Yeah.
And we love that. We thought it was great. And that was actually what I consider is the previous era of motorsport. This new era of motorsport is really about car progression and car mastery. And you saw the car progression systems. It's a bit like an RPG where cars start at level 1. You're defeating enemies as corners, gaining XP for them, and leveling your car up and unlocking new parts. And every car is kind of like a character or a hero in the game now. This really is a new and super fun and rewarding gameplay loop. And I do want to reiterate, we have an incredibly accurate simulation underneath the hood. And of course, you can play this on wheel and gamepad, and all feels great. The cars have never felt more accurate. It's a truly deep simulation. But there's this new game layer on top of it, which is about pushing you to your limits and pushing you to find the limits of the car. That's the new car mastery system. And we've just gamified that whole loop of feeling great to just drive the car to its limits, feel these new physics, and really just love the car because it just feels so great to drive.
Yeah.
And you saw some of these other things. Oh yeah, levels, they unlock new upgrades and parts and upgrades for you. They give you car points, so it's this new resource, right? So instead of spending credits on the upgrades, you're actually unlocking these car points to spend and reallocate as you wish. So it's a whole new system, it's a whole new economy And once again, it is the new era of motorsport.
Yeah.
It's a very different system, but it's super fun.
Is there like a max level you can get to with each car?
Yeah, currently the max level of cars is 50.
Okay.
And you know, it takes around a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, depending on how well you drive, to reach that max level. That doesn't mean that the parts that you're looking for or the upgrades you're looking for are locked behind level 50. But it unfurls in front of you when we really want this whole system to be about understanding what that car was, what it was designed to feel like just right off the showroom floor. So you get a chance to build that relationship, know its in and outs, understand how each car has incredibly different characteristics, even though they may have similar PI or performance. Every car feels so nuanced and different because of all these new physics. That you're going to get to know those cars, level them up, and really feel like you've built a bond with them over time.
Right, and you can like level up in like multiplayer and then free play and
oh yeah,
rivals.
yeah. Like I said, it is the heart of the new game.
Yeah.
It's not just in the career mode. It's not just in single player. So anywhere in the game that you're playing, anytime you're in the seat of a car, it's leveling up, it's gaining experience. So that's the multiplayer modes. That's in free play. That's in rivals. That's in, of course, the career mode here. So the core of the game is now getting into a car, they start at level 1, and you're just building that level of car mastery and that bond with every car that you're in and every second that you're in it with it.
Great, and then you can bring them into Builder's Cup and continue your journey.
No, absolutely.
as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I think some people have, in these press demos that we were given, some of them were asking, oh, well, can I bring a car that I leveled in, say, free play or in multiplayer into Builder's Cup? And the answer is absolutely. And there's a lot of details here. We have both the car groupings that you saw, like the Built for Sport series. That's a select set of cars that has a specific automotive story, and we want you to experience that. But we also have some open class racing that you can, hey, you've leveled up a car, you want to take into the B class racing or an A class racing. Those series are there as well, so your journey can continue with any of those cars. And additionally, like, hey, maybe you played it in a Rivals event, or maybe you played it in multiplayer and leveled the car up. You can bring those cars, if they're available in the Builders Cup, you can bring those leveled cars into them. So yeah, every car starts at level 1, and as you level it up, specific parts and part categories, rather than like specific parts, but part categories, like say exhaust or camshafts or something like that, the part category will unlock at specific levels. And all cars have the same parts unlocking at the same level. So whether it's a Cadillac Series V-Series.R or whether it's a humble grocery getter, every level will unlock the same part categories for you to go and mess with. And experiment with. So even though those part categories are all unlocked at the same levels across all of the different cars, each car was going to have its own journey, because some cars have other parts that certain cars don't. For example, of course, a rotary engine is not going to have camshaft upgrades. But you can understand this is all simulated, and so these details all play out, and each individual car is going to have its own journey, its own story, its own adventure as you go on with it and build it into that track dominator.
Excellent. And then how do you track that? Like, is there a way to see like the balance of everything you've added together?
Also, yeah, I think some of you may have noticed, yes, it's a new upgrade screen. And one of the elements there was something we call a spider graph, and that was on the right side. And it gives you these different elements of things like braking and handling, cornering, that sort of thing, to really start to understand what your car is balanced towards. And over time, I think players will start to understand this as kind of a footprint or fingerprint, if you will, of how you like cars to drive or how you like them to handle and behave. So maybe it's a really well-balanced graph, or maybe it's really, really dialed in on straight line performance. And you'll see that on this graph grow and shift over time, and so you can see how your car is changing over time. But more importantly, this is a good aid to help players really understand how all these things are changing the car. It's an incredibly deep simulation, as I was saying. So yeah, you could spend so many hours just trying to figure out how to dial in all these different options you have.
Amazing. And then, you know, there'll be different components for each car, right? Like you've got like the street component or the sport version of it, and you've got to unlock each part individually, right?
Right. Well, Not specifically each part, but definitely the part categories, right? So you'll unlock the different levels of, say, the exhaust all at the same time. So the exhaust has been unlocked, and that gives you a lot more leeway and options to really dial in that level of performance that you're looking for there. PI is a really core thing to Forza. It really helps you get a good idea of how this car performs, or basically the lap time that this car will have. So the lower a PI is, the slower a car's lap time or projected lap time is going to be. The higher ones are going to be faster on the track. The PI system is still there. For the Builders Cup career mode, we really are leaning heavily on the PI system to help us balance and progress players through it. So each racing series has its own progression of PI. So one racing series may start at around an average of, say, 300 PI, and you'll build upwards progressively through each race to, say, maybe a 500 PI. And you'll get to stepwise go through each of those changes as the car unfolds in front of you and is now a much faster car at the end of it. And similarly, maybe you start at 400 and work your way to 550 or 600. In a certain racing series, PI is there to help you kind of balance this all out and understand what you're building towards. So once again, this is the Builders Cup. And we are really encouraging players to experiment and try different things out, but it's all balanced with this PI system. So you're you're building towards a PI target in every race.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's 350, sometimes it's 375, sometimes it's 700. And it allows you to really think about, oh, I've got all these options, and now I can figure exactly how I want to try this out to meet that PI limit.
Yeah, because you've got like a guideline, and then it's up to you how you want to build towards that guideline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things that I think this new career mode that people will start understanding is the level of replayability in the game. And you know, I think a lot of people know I love watching Twitch. I spend way too much time watching it, and you, by the way. And a lot of the things that people do is replay games, and they do challenge runs or fun runs or that sort of thing. Well, we have this whole new car progression system. So you can imagine, I'm going to play the Built for Sport series again, but I'm not going to level or spend more points than blah, or I'm going to do a level 1 run, or that kind of thing, right? So you can challenge yourself, again, across all of the whole career mode to dial in exactly the level of racing challenge that you want, whether you want it to be full simulation with damage and tire wear and fuel settings and all that sort of thing and necessary pit stops, or you could just turn all that off and just have a really fun race and have shorter experiences where you're not really worried about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I mean, here on Forza Monthly, we do a lot of community spotlights. We talk to our community members, and a lot of those people are streamers, and they love setting challenges for themselves, for the communities, and like having something new to do, something new to achieve, something it's like a new game plus kind of thing.
No, exactly, exactly. And just a quick note on that. Yeah, the auto upgrade, what it does is it tries to optimize for a balanced build. So it's going to try to, like I talked about the spider graph, it's going to try to balance that build out and not push you in one direction or another. Really what that means is your car is always going to have a level of drivability as it progresses, rather than like, oh, it's all just straight line speed and torque, and now people are like, oh, well, I can't handle this anymore, right?
Yep.
The auto build is really there to help you explore how cars can unfold over time with the deep upgrade system. So, you know, this is one of the great things about this system is that we've always had a deep simulation. Forza's always had an incredible car building and deep simulation for the game. But a lot of the times, it hasn't really been not only deeply integrated into the career mode, but more importantly, it's hard to get into it. There's a lot of barriers of entry for players to understand the depth there. It can be intimidating, right? Especially if you're a novice with cars and don't even know what a camshaft is, right? So this system, because we have this auto build function, like boom, you can click that button, and it starts to let you know, oh, here's what has been installed. And then you can, as a player, if you want to dive in a little bit deeper into the simulation, start to unpack, okay, well, they installed this part. What does that part actually do? Why did they install that? And then you can read about it, learn more about it, and maybe even uninstall it, and then see how it changes the car here and there.
Right.
And so that's really a big part of this loop. You know, you put all these different parts on. What's going on? Well, how did the car change? You go to open practice, and then you check this all out, and then maybe you didn't like to put this air filter on or these new tires on, and it just completely changed the car in a way you didn't want it to.
Right.
Go back and rebuild your car and get back on open practice and try it out again.
And combined with like the enhanced physics and everything, you can actually really feel the effect of everything.
Everything. Yeah, and you know, a quick note, because I think our our audio guys will appreciate that, and they always kick me to promote the amazing work that they've done. So it's not just this deep simulation that's affecting just car performance and how it handles and that thing, which is amazing. There's so much deep stuff there. But one of the great things that we've done with the audio system is that every part that could change the audio in your car will now change the audio in your car, and they all interact separately. So if you put, say, new camshafts, we just talked about that, a new air filter, some new exhaust, all of those things will work together. Each of those components will change the sound of your car. But now those together has a unique sound. Okay. So every upgrade that has an audible effect, as detailed as that is, will change the audio of your car. And I think that's super, super cool.
That's really cool, yeah.
Deep gameplay is why I play games. That is what I look for. And one of the things with Forza Motorsport is we've always had this deep simulation, but I think in a lot of ways we've tried to kind of wave our hands around it. And yeah, we've always had an accessible game. We've always had an approachable game. We have incredible assist. We always do, and we're doing some groundbreaking work there as well. But that core layer of gameplay is what I've always wanted from Forza Motorsport. And we've had it, but it hasn't been celebrated in this way. And I think this whole new system really allows players to understand the deep gameplay that we have, each part being that critical to changing the details of how the car feels on the track. And that just opens up, once players realize that and feel it and start to understand these things, oh, you're going to be playing the game for a long time. It's going to be great. Yeah, we've had different tire compounds and fuel in the past, but this time around, we've just really gone deep in both the simulation of it and the gameplay of it. So yeah, tires and fuel matter. We're going to go really deep into the featured multiplayer version of this later this year, where tires and fuel actually matter a whole lot more, and you really can't opt into it. It's just part of the core experience. But in the single-player Builders Cup career, you can opt into whichever level of simulation that you want. So you can dial in full simulation during the Builders Cup, where we even have racing regulations in the game now in single player. So if you want regulation systems on where you're getting penalties for bumping into other cars and they're getting penalties for bumping into you or running you off the road, you can turn that on. Wow. You can turn on full simulation damage. You can turn your rewinds off. You can do things like turn the tire and fuel simulation on or off. You can go full simulation and have that career experience. You can dial that out and also kind of have a more, less of a fully simulated experience. So you can just kind of find that right spot for you. Yeah. So if you want to care about tires and fuel, hey, we got you. Yeah. If you don't really want to worry about that complexity and really just are trying to master the car, great. You can dial that in too. Yeah, so one of the things that our community has been asking for a really, really long time is we want progression. We want to start in slow cars and then work our ways to faster cars and then faster cars. And we are not only doubling down on that, but tripling down on this whole notion of progression. So we've talked to death already about the car progression, starting from a stock car and leveling up and building it. But that is in itself taking a car, however slow or fast that car is, taking that on a journey of progression. We have that whole journey of slower cars to faster cars in every tour in the game. So you'll start a little bit slower and then work your way through faster cars in sort of a theme. That's what all these different racing series are bunched into these different tours. So you're going to go have an overarching tour experience where you're starting in a little bit slower cars and then building your way up to faster cars in the series. But within each series as well, you're having that same progression of starting slower and getting faster. So you're not just seeing that, and you're doing it race by race, right? So it's not just that, oh, I'm starting my entire career with this slow vintage hot hatch and working my way to a supercar, and that is the career. That's not the career. The career is car progression all over the place. And it doesn't matter if it's a slow car, a medium car, a fast car. They all have progression. So at the micro level, at the meta level, and everything in between, all of that is car progression.
Okay.
And so I think when players are now like, oh, yeah, I've always wanted car progression, we're giving it to you.
In spades.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you asked for it. Here you go.
We've always had these risk-reward systems. We've had things like mods in the past, or recently we've done things like reward you for turning off assists. So we would have credit scalars if you, say, went from ABS on to ABS off, or that sort of thing. Now, we got rid of all of those credit scalars on assists. And this is because we want players to basically play at the skill and ability level that they have. If you need to have, we have blind driving assist now. We have even a one-button mode, so you can say, hey, let the AI do everything for you except for, say, working the accelerator. You can play the game this way. And we don't want to punish you for doing that. We want to just let you play at your level and then start exploring mastering cars, really getting into that whole thing around falling in love with cars. So we didn't want to penalize you for using any of the assists in the game. I actually play with ABS on all the time now. Our ABS system is fantastic. And it's because it's not about rewarding you for turning off assists. What we are rewarding you for doing is challenging yourself. And that's really what Challenge the Grid is all about. You can say, I want faster AI to race against. I want simulation damage and fuel and tires and all those things. And when you turn that complexity on, that's when you're getting rewarded, right? That challenge level of the difficulty of the game. That's really where all the credit scalars are now. So Challenge the Grid puts all of that at your fingertips. All of those options are right there on that screen. And what I find really cool is that you can do that at every race. So every time you're about to go into a race, you've gone through that open practice session where you've really gotten to know, okay, the car, I feel pretty confident about the car this time, or maybe I don't feel confident at all. And you're like, cool, I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. I'm going to go and put myself in 24th and go after that purse. And even dial up the AI difficulty at the same time. And so every race, you can now change all of these things. It's a little bit gamified. It's fun, as you said. And now you can, it's just dialing in that exact level of risk, reward, and challenge, right, that you want every race. And I think that's really super cool. So in the video, I think you saw our new AI at work. And I'm really proud of the incredible work that we've done here. We've completely rewritten the AI code. So we're calling it the Drivatar system because there's a lot of the Drivatar stuff, of the sociality of your friends' cars and their liveries and all that stuff coming in. So that's what's carrying forward in this new kind of Drivatar system. But the actual driving on track, how they're behaving, it's all new. All of that is new. And it's powered by machine learning. So we have a completely new controller in the game. And what I mean by that is our AI is now learning to drive the car. That means like steering, accelerating, braking, shifting. It's understanding car dynamics. And it is now just driving better because of that. And so on the back end, we have the fastest lines now possible. They have the mathematically fastest lines around the track. And they can drive as fast as our fastest drivers. So without any cheats, without any hacks, there's no rubber banding, there's nothing like that in the game. So when you're driving, it's like driving against real players.
Right.
And you can dial in that exact level of challenge you're looking for.
And you get to learn from them as well.
No, absolutely.
Because you're like, I can replicate that driving because it's real driving.
Yeah, and I think for me, I've had some of the most immersive racing that I've ever had in a motorsport game because of the system. Because they're braking exactly where I expect them to brake. And so I don't get falsely maybe brake checked, or I feel like they're trying to push me off the track because they're encroaching on my line. Or I can anticipate what they would do normally because they're driving honestly. They're using the same physics I am. There's no additional grip or torque, so I don't feel like, oh, well, I really felt like I outdrove them during that corner, but why are they pulling away from me now? For me, that breaks the immersion in the game. We don't have any of that anymore. The AI, if you set it to the highest level, I can't even, there's no, I am not an alien driver, so I cannot compete at that level. You know, our top drivers, you know, we've been working with, I think people know Raceboy for a long time, as a great example of one of our fastest drivers. Yeah. He cannot beat those guys if you put him in the back of the field or if you put him one-on-one. They're just neck and neck the whole time.
Wow.
So if you really want to challenge yourself to be some of the fastest drivers in the world, you can actually dial that in. Now, I personally don't race at that level. I think we have 7 new levels of AI difficulty. I drive at a 5 or 6, depending on a good day.
Okay.
But 7, that's right out. So anyway, that's just the AI. That's the first thing. So AI is just super engaging and super immersive now. Our physics, okay, here we go. Because I'm going to be talking about tires and everything. Yeah. So I said at the top, we have an incredibly accurate simulation. It's the most accurate our simulation has ever been. Everything in the physics code has been rewritten. So the tire model alone, I know it's really difficult to comprehend the level of generational leap. It's not even a generational leap. It's multi-generations. It's the level of fidelity in the tire model alone should blow people's minds. And I've said it, and most people don't believe it. And I've seen online there's memes around it, 48x. But the math actually checks out.
Yeah.
This is the truth. We've gone from a single point of contact in the tire model, that's all of 1 through 7, to 8 points of contact per tire.
Wow. Yeah.
What that means now is the tire patch, the contact patch, is fully realized. And if, like say, as an example, just the top front right of the tire is on a curb, it knows that one part of the tire is on the curb, and the other 7 knows it's not.
Wow.
And so it's constantly searching out all the grip it can find in all of these detailed surfaces that we have. So that's the first big thing. We went from 1 point of contact to 8. It makes everything just feel that much more smooth and realistic. The second big thing is that we've increased the polling frequency by 6 times. The physics model is running 6 times faster now.
Wow.
And that, once again, that should blow your mind. So the tire model alone with these 8 points of contact and running at 6 times the level of fidelity, that's 48 times more traction, grip. The tire model is crazy. Yeah. So I will put this simulation up against any other sim out there. It is, and I think most sim racers know, it all starts with the tire model. And I think we got it right this time. It's incredible. So that's just one thing.
Okay.
And I said in the video, we have completely remodeled suspension, weight modeling, aero modeling. All of this is all new. I'm just not going to go into the details there because it's super detailed. We could spend an hour or more.
And maybe we will one day.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All of it is just, it makes the cars feel actually more approachable now. And that's actually one of the things that I think is the most important thing. All of these physics changes, it may sound even more intimidating. Like, oh my God, well now it's even more difficult.
Much more to pay attention to, yeah.
The fact is, with all of those changes, it's actually easier to drive.
Okay.
Because the cars actually feel real. They are as realistic as they've ever been. And there's just way more grip going around, and the cars are just that much more planted. Yeah, it's just that much more approachable to drive now.
Wow. So it feels more like you'd expect it to feel like if you were out on the road.
No, absolutely. So to that effect, you know, even down to the tire pressures modeled in the game, we are checking against all of the data that we get from our racing teams, the tire manufacturers. Our tire pressure is actually more accurate than some of the other sims that are out there. Wow. Just straight up. It is dead on. And some of the things that was going to come into our game and have an expectation that, oh, well, I tuned my car this way in this other game, and it should behave exactly like that. But those numbers may actually be incorrect. They may be close, but not exact. Okay. And what's super cool about this is like, wow, this is actually pretty real.
Wow, yeah.
So we actually can, and we have guys at work now that use the tuning in our game to help them dial in their tire pressure, their spring rates, and that sort of thing with their actual race car.
I know we say simulation a lot, but that's even
yeah,
super
it's
cool.
crazy, yeah.
Applying the game to real life instead. Wow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, every track does have the fully dynamic time of day with weather, which is really cool. And you've got dynamic tracks, right? There's rubber. and
Yeah.
dynamic temperatures and all sorts.
Yeah. For once again, the motorsport nerds out there like myself, and vehicle dynamic nerds out there like myself, yeah, rubbering in we got that, right? Changing grip levels based off of how rubber's laid down. Cool, awesome. So grip's always changing too, but the reverse happens when it gets wet, right? The actual rubbered in line is actually more slippery when it starts to get wet.
Yeah.
So when it starts getting wet or rain or just a little bit moisture on there, like the chemicals are changing,
yeah.
and we're simulating all of that. So you have to be constantly aware of all of these changing dynamics. So it's not just looks are changing, right? Where now it's dark or there's a sun glaring right in your eye. Those are affecting things like the track temperatures, which affect your grip.
Yeah.
These are all changing. There's super in-depth physics simulation here that's happening under the hood. And once again, it just challenges you to master the car corner by corner when all of this is changing. Yeah, absolutely. We touched on assist a little bit just in terms of the race, the race payouts and the credit scalars and that sort of thing. But this Forza Motorsport is definitely the most accessible racing simulation game that's going to be released and it's going to be out there. So we've talked a little bit about blind driving assist, one button gameplay, that sort of thing. Well, the whole point here is we have these crazy assists from one-button driving, blind driving, that allow you to really play the game wherever you are, whatever skill level you have, whatever assists that you need. So it is the most approachable as well because you can get in and start messing with these assists and really dial in the level of feel and control and complexity that you want to actually have with the game. So once again, if you've never driven a car, you can now drive this in the game. Our blind driving assist, no, quite frankly, I don't know many blind people who have driven a car before.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the first time that they may be able to actually drive a car, let alone get around on a track with it.
Right, yeah.
So that level of accessibility is built directly into all of our assists in the game. And it's just, so no matter who you are, what your skill level is, you can play this game and be successful.
Amazing. So yeah, I mean, you said in previous games that there were certain like debuffs to characteristics of the cars when you use assists, and that's not really.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, yeah. In previous games, when you turned on certain assists, not only would it reduce your payout, right, but it actually debuffed the car.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so we were trying to encourage you to turn things off and really add complexity to the game for you, right? And we did things like if you turned ABS on, it reduced the amount of friction that you would have when you're braking versus ABS off. So you had all these debuffs in all the assists, right? So all of that's gone. It doesn't really matter what you turn on or off. You're going to have the same driving experience that everyone else would be.
The physics is going to be the same, regardless of assists, which is awesome.
You might get you got a little taste in that video. In our trailer as well for the game, for the big showcase that we had, she was in there and she was talking a little bit. I do want to let you know, everyone that's watching, that the race engineer doesn't sound like she does in the trailer. we recorded her for the trailer to kind of amp up the energy there. She doesn't sound like that at all in the game. She's a race engineer. What she does on track for you is basically help you unlock your fastest self. She's there as your coach, telling you, hey, think about the corner this way. Here's the track conditions. We'll let you know about your tire and fuel, how you're doing overall, what's going on the track, that sort of thing. Just what a race engineer would normally do. But she's not just that. She also helps you out in the overall game. She'll be in the menus. She'll help you through the Builders Cup. She'll help you understand what to do with cars and how to build things and that sort of thing. So she's your coach all over in the game, helping you be successful, not just on track, but with the game all.
Right, she's like a constant companion sort of thing throughout the whole thing. But I mean, if I'm in a race, is she always going to be there? Can I turn her on or off? Yeah,
we have some options here, and we're going to explore all sorts of ways of dialing in the exact level of interaction that you want with her. And we've played with a lot of different scenarios, so yeah, there'll be more details on that. Yeah, so the Builders Cup structure, you saw these are all built into racing series. And you saw the Built for Sport racing series, just the first event of it, in the video today. all of these racing series are kind of put together in a theme. And those themes are what we call tours, so tours of motorsport. When you complete a tour, meaning you complete all the racing series in that tour, you unlock a special reward car. And that's the only way you get that car. So that's the main reason why you'll play through these different racing series, is to work towards a cool car.
Right.
Now, when we're going to be updating the game with new cars and content and tracks and that sort of thing, yeah, you'll start to see this structure play out, and we'll be dangling some really cool cars at the end of tours if you complete them. So yeah, that's the main reason to play the different tours.